So many bright stars like diamonds in the sky. Oh, it makes me wonder how anyone...
Dear friends all over the world, welcome back again. This is Mr. Osama Muqbil, the English teacher and the self-improvement coach. Dear friends, several second language learners keep asking this question. Mister, which one is easier, better, or more beautiful? The American accent or the British accent? First of all, you have to know that there are a lot of accents and different dialects used in speaking English countries. But the most common ones are the British accent and the American accent. Actually, there is nothing called better, easier, or more beautiful. The most important thing you have to bear in mind is whether you pronounce words correctly or not. Are you able to send or convey messages clearly? Do other people understand you when you talk? Don't mispronounce a lot of words and then you pretend that these are different accents used somewhere in speaking English countries. For example, don't say that the word gigantic, that means a huge or very enormous, pronounced gigantic, for example, and then you say that this is an accent used somewhere in a speaking English country. Don't say that the word, for example, engagement, pronounced engagement or engagement, and then you say this is an accent. Don't pronounce the word ancient, that means old, ancient or ancientee, and then you say that this is an accent used somewhere in a speaking English country. Over and over again, the most important thing is how to pronounce words correctly and how to send and convey clear messages to your listeners. The second question kept asking all the time is, Mister, is it okay to use my original accent when I speak English? In other words, I am an Arab. For example, I am from Egypt, from Syria, Palestine, or Saudi Arabia. And I don't like it when I use the American accent or the British accent. I want just to use my original Arabic accent. For example, and instead of pronouncing this sentence this way, oh, look at that bird over there. It's very beautiful. I want to pronounce it this way. Look at that bird over there. It's very beautiful. Is that okay? The answer is absolutely, definitely, surely it's okay. But the big question here is, why do you accept the good when you can get the better and the best? Why do you accept the less when you can get the more? This is the big question you have to answer. So you have a great opportunity to improve your speaking skill and your accent as wonderfully and stunningly as possible. So why do you accept the less when you can get the more? So just bear in mind that the accent is something, we can say something additional. Now, it's up to you if you want to acquire it or leave it. You can use your original accent for sure, and no one actually can disagree with you. But over and over again, you have to bear in mind that it's not impossible to improve your accent by a lot of practice. With love, passion, enthusiasm, and determination. Make sure that over time you feel that everything will be like a piece of cake and your accent is tremendously improved. Now the big question here is, what are the differences between the American accent and the British accent? Surely, in this episode, we're going to show you the main differences between the two different accents. Surely, we're going to focus on the main differences generally, and then we are going to focus mainly on the differences between the American pronunciation and the British pronunciation. As I told you, there are a lot of accents in both countries, in different cities and different states, but we are going just to focus on the most formal accents used in both countries. So, let's set the ball rolling. Here we go, dear friends. As I told you, we're going to focus mainly on the differences between the American accent and the British accent. But it's a very good idea to know some other differences between the American English and the British English. Let's start with the spelling. As you see here, we have the most common difference in spelling between the American English and the British English is the words color, flavor, favor, and so on. We don't have the U. We just write OR, favor, OR, flavor, OR, and so on. Color, OR. But in the British English, we have to add the U after the O. Color, favor, flavor, and so on. So here, color without U, color in the British spelling, it's with U. The second difference, like words theater, litter, and so on, we have to end the word with ER. But here we have to switch the RE instead of ER. So we have theater, RE, theater, ER. The last difference here is organize. Some words that end with SE in the British spelling must end in ZE in the American English. So you have to know these differences because you know that some students get confused. Sometimes we write the word color with U, sometimes we don't. Why? Because you know that some people use the American spelling and some other people or learners use the British spelling. So you have to know these differences so that you don't get confused. The second difference between the American English and the British English is vocabulary. You know that there are some words used by the British speakers that are not used by the American speakers and vice versa. For example, the word is soccer, soccer. Now in America, they don't say football. Football means the American football, you know, that tough game. So here actually we have soccer used in America and football used in Britain. Trash or garbage in America, but actually in Britain they use the word rubbish, rubbish. Finally, we have apartment and we have flat, basement, cellar, and so on. So you have to know, these words that are used differently in the American English and the British English. Now, the most important thing is the difference between the American accent and the British accent when it comes to how to pronounce words. You should know that there are some differences between the two accents, but these are the most common differences between the American accent and the British accent. Let's start with the R sound. You have to know that the R sound in the American accent is rhotic. What does that mean? You have to pronounce the R sound in the middle and in the end of the word. For example, when I say, oh, you know that I feel very thirsty. Could you bring me a cup of water? Could you please bring me a cup of water? Water, bitter, better, butter, letter. So we have to pronounce the R in the end or in the middle of the word. But the story is totally different when it comes to the British accent. They don't pronounce the R in the end of the word and sometimes in the middle of it. For example, how do you feel now? I feel better, better, better. There is no R in the end of the word. Oh, look at that beautiful bird. Bird. No R in the middle of the word. Okay? I think that you notice the difference. Now, the second difference when it comes to some words such as ask. We have a sound. Ask. Could I ask you some questions? Or have. Have. But look at the difference between the American accent and the British accent when you pronounce these two words. Ask becomes ask. I want to ask you some questions. Ask. Have becomes have. Have. Ask, have. Ask and have. Okay? Now we have the O sound. In some words, the O sound is unrounded in the American English. In the American accent, it's not rounded. What does it mean rounded? I'm talking about the movement of your lips. For example, when we see these words, got, look, we don't have rounded lips. So I say got, box, and hot. What's the weather like outside? It's hot. But in the British accent, again, there is a big difference. We have just to make sure that our lips are rounded like this. It's hot, hot, box, box. Okay, so we have rounded lips, but here actually the O sound in some words in the American accent are not rounded. Box, box, got, and so on. Now, the last one is the sound T. The sound T in the British English is hard, like the ta sound in Arabic. For example, when I say, for example, I feel bata. But in the American English, it looks like the D sound or da sound. For example, later, later, escalator, later, elevator, later, elevator, escalator, and so on. But in the British accent, the T is hard. See you later. See you later. Okay? It's a hard T. Now, as you see, these are the main differences between the American English and the British English. And for sure, we focus particularly on the American accent and the British accent and how we pronounce some words in both accents. Now, it's your choice to use your original accent, to use the American accent or the British accent. What I want from you here is to write some other differences between the two accents, or you can show us other differences between the American English or the British English. As I told you, you are the only one who can choose which one is better, which one is more beautiful, and which one is easier. In my personal point of view, definitely the American accent is more beautiful, it's easier, and I feel actually more comfortable and relaxed when I use it. So what about you? You can use your ideas down in the comments. So tell us about the accent you prefer so that we can get to know which accent you use all the time. And don't forget to write some other differences between the American English and the British English. Don't forget that English is not that hard to learn. You can master its skills. You can improve yourself greatly and tremendously if you keep practicing all the time with love, passion, enthusiasm, determination, and positivity. At the end of this video, I'd like just to thank you wholeheartedly for tuning in and watching this video until the end. May Allah bless you all and see you next time, better, stronger, wiser, and more knowledgeable. Just remember, practice makes perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Just like a sunrise can